So, rear brake pads on 2009 Lexus IS F. So there's a little brake caliper. So you'll need to knock these two pins out. So putting 2 layers of tape to protect, just in case you miss and hit the caliper, to not to chip the paint. So you need to relieve the tension on the bar before you can pull out a pin. Just, you can put a screwdriver backing into here, just relieves enough of tension on the pin so you can punch it out easier.
Okay.
And there's a pin out. Okay, second pin out. Okay. So now you have to push your brake pad apart. Of course, you can simply push them and push the brake fluid back into the system, but the brake fluid on this car has been changed since like probably 2009, so I'll be doing it as well. I'm going to loosen the bleeder a little bit. It will self-gravity bleed, and at the same time you can just use this to, oh, a little too much, push the brake pads out. Right, 1. 2. Of course, if your brake caliper is seized, you're in for the world of pain, but we don't get sold. Alright, retighten it. Now, life is easy. Remove the pad. Remove the pad. As you can see, this one is down to the wear mark. There's a squealer. Okay, pause. Then you match your brake pads. Make sure what you have is what you have. We're using NAPA brake pads. They're not the highest rated, but mid-grade rating, but the car is not being tracked. So if all you're doing is brake pads, you would simply slide them in, put the pins in, and be done. But you can see the disc on this car is also worn out. There's a huge lip here, so we're also replacing the disc. So to continue with the disc, you need to remove the caliper. So the 2 14mm bolts on the back. There's one, and there's a second one. Just removing first. Pause. Okay, now the bottom. Okay, go. Okay, this caliper you can nicely leave over here so it doesn't dangle on a brake line. And now you have to remove the disc. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
The easiest way to remove the rotor, you put the 2 M8 bolts in here and just tighten it. And you can see the rotor comes out like nothing. Even if you have a little bit of rust, this will greatly accelerate your removal process. Still. Well, if you're just unlucky as me, it's possible that this red spring that holds the parking brake shoes will fall off. So if it does, I didn't have enough hands to film it, the pin that is in the middle You can use a long square screwdriver right in the back to hold the pin. It helps if you have another person. You'll push on the pin while the second person pushes that silver retention ring through the slots, compressing the spring and turning it. Double check your new rotor is the right one. Don't forget to transfer the manual parking adjuster cover onto the new spot. Do it before the assembly if you want. And using NAPA brake pad rotors, that's the part number. Yeah. That's it. Now it's a good time to give a little bit of clean for your pads. You can just add one lug nut to hold the brake pad in place. Make sure it's well seated. This will assist in installing the caliper without the whole thing wiggling. Reinstall the brake pad caliper with the 2 screws. Just hand tighten them at first, and then I don't know the torque specs. I just tighten the shit out of them by hand. There is no way you can strip them with a normal 1/2-inch driver. So now it's a good idea to apply a little bit of anti-seize compound in the back of the both pads. Just a little bit, roughly where the brake cylinder touches it. You don't really need anywhere else. And slip it in. It doesn't really matter where the squealer goes. You can put inside, outside. Originally it was outside, so I'm leaving the same location. Okay. It's a good idea just to clean up the pins. We don't live in a rusty climate, so we don't need to apply a lot of anti-seize. So slide the pin in. You can remove the tape, align it, and just a left tap on the back with a hammer. So make sure it's flat on the outside, about the same location as you remember. So I mean flat on the inside, about the same location on the outside as you remember. Now it's time to install the retaining bracket. So line up your retaining clip on the bottom. Same thing with a screwdriver, push it in. Now if you're living in a rust belt somewhere else, you may want to apply anti-seize compound. You might even have to replace the retaining clip, but we don't really get any salt here, so I'm not doing it personally. Now that you slipped it in, the back, same thing, a few left taps. Now that you're done, about the same protrusion on both sides. There's a little groove, as you can see, on the retaining clip. Make sure that the spring is set right in between the retaining clip's grooves, so it doesn't come out. Otherwise you'll have a bad day braking. So if you were not removing the brake bleeder, it would basically be done. Since we removed it, you can blade the brakes. So of course you can do the old method of pumping the brakes. One person presses the brakes, second person opens and closes. I got a little toy, so I'll do it a little different way. So first remove the cap and the filter. They just come out. Filter is easy to remove if you put 2 fingers like this, then turn it and it will come out. And then just sucking out the old brake fluid. Okay. Got it, right? Actually using just standard OEM .3 design for Lexus. Has a little bit higher boiling temperature than regular .3. And you just fill the reservoir, otherwise however you want. So there is a bleeding setup. This is his air compressor. Opening the valve and letting the system to suck out all the brake fluid. And now one side is done. Just don't forget to tighten your bleeder screw and put a cap back on. Everything is cleaned up and your one side is done. The other side is no different. Hopefully that helps somebody.